Okay, so one of the hardest things for victims of abuse is to emotionally and intellectually distance themselves from people who are being abusive or who don't like them and say heinous, hurtful things. And sometimes it's hard to recognize because these people present as if they're our friends, as if they're our family that love us, as if they are our partner. And when you look at the things they say to you, they are not saying things that give you the benefit of the doubt and that look on you with kind eyes. So as I mentioned in the other video, the criticism video, someone who actually likes you is going to interpret everything to your benefit. They're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. And in fact, that's what victims are often doing toward the abuser. They're giving them the benefit probably when they shouldn't. Whereas where the abuser and unsafe, abusive people, they do the opposite. They look at you with hardness, with unkind eyes, and everything goes through that filter. And so they pick you apart. And victims of abuse end up in this place where they feel like literally everything about them is wrong. And they feel to a point where they start to feel destroyed, like in who they are. Because the person who's doing this, that they think loves them, doesn't, and is saying these things that destroy every single thing about them. The way you walk, the way you breathe, the way you dress, what you think, how you present, what you're doing in life, yada, yada, etc. Like, pick a thing. So when you have these kind of psychological abusers who don't like you, first of all, you got to recognize, oh, this person does not like me. Therefore, they are an unreliable narrator because their filter is not for accuracy. Their filter is looking for things to pick you apart about as a reason that they have permission to do and say what they really always wanted to do and say. So a lot of it is extremely punitive. And if you think about it, you're not like this, so you don't do this to them. When they make a mistake, when they do something wrong, you interpret it as a mistake and you think, oh, well, we all make mistakes, and you give them grace. They're not giving you grace. So you have to recognize, oh, this person is low-key a hater. Then you recognize everything they're telling you, whether or not it's accurate, is unreliable. When someone is saying something accurate to you, but they actually like you, they're going to give you that information in a way that can uplift you and edify you, not tear you down. Someone who doesn't like you is going to use it as an excuse to tear you down, right? Oh, now I have the opportunity to say, something mean that'll allow me to lash out at you in a way that I feel is justified, but I've always wanted to be mean to you. So they're an unreliable narrator. And the criticism, if someone has a critical orientation toward you, that's one way you can know that they are a person who doesn't like you. Now, it might not be personal. This might be a person who is a critical person, period. Nobody is a person they like or thinks measures up. So if you're in a kind of like a spiritual paradigm, kind of like your Virgos, your distorted Virgos. If you are, let's say in a secular paradigm, it might be someone who's autistic, who's got a very rigid sense of like, well, if you aren't like this, then you're wrong. And literally they look at everybody that way. Not one person measures up. I'm not saying every person on the spectrum because there are plenty of victims of abuse that are on the spectrum. But often you might get a person like that who doesn't intend it in a mean way, but it's still destructive. So however that shows up, not trying to get canceled by anybody. So if they're generally a critical person, you gotta understand you're going to be inside that criticism at some point. You will be incorporated into the bubble. It's not that people don't meet their standards. It's that the way they look at the world means that they are critically oriented and they have no sense of proportion or balance. This is not a safe person to be in a relationship with. I don't care how good the chemistry. I don't care if you don't notice it because you're both hating on groups of people at the same time. Be very careful with that. All right, so you realize, okay, this person's not a safe person. They're a hater, either personally or generally. And you've got to get some kind of distance from them. If you can't get physical distance, then you need psychological distance. And the way you make psychological distance is you recognize, okay, they don't like me. Everything they're saying even if it's accurate, is unreliable. And you can, in yourself, find defenses for what they're saying. So, for example, I would have people hate on me for my appearance. And I didn't realize it was because they were jealous. I developed very early on. And so I would have people say things to me about, like being a slut or something. And of course, I'm in middle school and I'm very confused because I haven't done anything. It did not make sense. And, with the eyes of maturity, it's like, oh, that's what was going on there. It had nothing to do with me. It's that they felt insecure. And so they were telling me something about an attribute that I had nothing, like no control over. And they wanted me to feel bad about it because they didn't have it. Right? That's like, what is it? The sour grapes, I think, or something to that effect. The Aesop's fables. Anyway, so sometimes people will say things to you about your body. And one thing that really helped me was recognizing like, oh, there are so many different types of people in this world that like different things. So if one person isn't into me, another person is going to be. And all I have to do is find those people and it's fine. It doesn't have to be a global, you are bad or ugly or something. I can say, oh, this is just not someone who's into me, and that's fine. Or, oh, this person is being a hater because that's their problem. It has nothing to do with me. It's not my business, They can, I'm over here doing my thing. And so I think that's why as people get older, you generally stop giving a fuck because you start to realize, oh, I listened to all these people I shouldn't have listened to. I cared what they thought, and they were wrong. And so when you have an unsafe person who's like a dominating kind of person, they are going to act as if they have the right to run around and define everyone to themselves. Or they're going to act as if no one can tell them anything, right? So they're going to say stuff to people, but you can't tell them shit. And they don't take it personally ever. And you go, well, you should have some self-awareness and self-reflection. And so because victims of abuse often want to be moral, ethical people, good people, they think, well, I want to be self-reflective. I want to take in that information. But whereas the dominating person doesn't take in information from anybody, the target or the victim of abuse is taking information in from everybody without discernment. And so that's what we have to develop within ourselves. Is this someone to take information from? Now, when you get to a point where you recognize another person can have their opinion, they can be wrong. That has nothing to do with you. That's their business. They can think what they want. Now, if they are engaging in slander or if they are sabotaging you, let's say in the workplace or school, like you may have to take measures. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do something, but what it means is you shouldn't take it personally. You just clock it for what it is and take whatever action it is you need to take. But you don't take it into your core. You don't take it personally. This is not a person you can trust to reliably give you information about yourself, so you don't accept it. Like assholes don't accept anything people tell them. They've built up their alloplastic defenses. You don't want to be to that level. But you want to get to a level where you're more discerning about who is saying this information, how reliable they are, how is it intended, are they trying to hurt you, punish you, lash out at you, take advantage of an opportunity to just be mean. So when we've got like our spectrum of like we're not listening to anybody and we're listening to everybody, well, we kind of want to be more in the middle. We want to have those hell nah attitudes towards people that we don't need to listen to and mean us ill. But you do want to listen to people that you find to be trustworthy and also have emotional intelligence. So when that person is your family or when that person is your best friend or when that person is your partner, then you have to start to kind of reconsider this person in your life. And that's hard. That's a lot of victims of abuse really hate to do that. So if you are in that place where you can't quite let go, and so you want to believe the narrative that you all are telling each other about what you guys mean to each other, they will continue to be harmful and it will continue to increase in pain until you get to a point where you finally go, oh, okay, well, I literally can't take this anymore. And so now I have to deal with reality. And that's hard. I get it. We want the people we love to be people who love us too. And sometimes it's hard to recognize and let go when that is not the case. So, you can sort of go out in the world and you can find the defenses for the things that they're saying, not so that you can argue with them, because it's not your job to change their mind. That is, even if they're engaging in defamation or slander, that you have an attorney argue with them for the most part. Or if you need to get like another third person involved, whatever steps you need to take. But in general, it's not so that you can argue in defense of yourself toward them. It's for yourself to give yourself protection from what they're saying to you. Now, again, as always, if you feel moved within yourself to like, okay, I need to argue on my own behalf, go ahead and do it. You've got to be the person who's making decisions for yourself. The reason I say that, though, is generally people are terrible at defending themselves. And sometimes when you defend yourself, you look more guilty, and you're going to know if you're that person. So as always, take it under advisement and what you're internally moved to knowing is right for you. Anyway, I hope this makes sense, and I'll talk to you next time.